Hey guys, it's Steve with Team Junkyard Dog, and today we're going to be building Forge, the little half-pound flipper kit for those home battles. I'm going to guide you step by step, so let's go ahead and get right into it. All right guys, so you have your Forge kit. Congratulations on your purchase. Now, this is what you should see. You should have the actual body of the robot. The tires are also in here. You're going to have your charge cord and your battery. And if you want to, you could technically charge your battery while you're building until you need the battery. You're going to have your controller. You're going to have your core. This is your electronics and your drive motors. You're going to have a servo. That's for your lifter. And you're going to have a hardware pack with tools included. What's great about this little kit is the fact that you are not going to need any tools. And the first thing I recommend that you do is you get everything set up and organized, just to make your build that much easier. And I'm going to do it just like this. You can see that I have all my different parts. I have all my hardware laid out up here in the different spots. So I have my flipper hardware, I have my drive hardware, I have my servo hardware, my screws for the body and assembly, my tools. Everything's nice and laid out so I can see everything all the time. Now when you're building your Forge, if you do download the instructions, you will have an instruction sheet like this, and it will tell you what all your different hardware is if you get confused on sizes, but I will guide you along the way with what screws to use where. So there's nothing to it but to do it. So the first thing that we're going to do is we are going to get the servo housing right here. On top of the servo housing, you're going to see it looks like a little screwdriver right here. We do need to pop that off. There is a hole in this part of it right there. Just slide your screwdriver into that hole and lift up, kind of wiggle it back and forth, and it will snap out of place. This is just a support from the print. Once you do that, you will set that to the side. You will get your tires. You have a little hexagon in there. You pop out the center of the foam, and you do that on both tires. Now once you do that, you want to get your wheel hubs like this. They also have a hole in the center. You put this in like so. Only put the screwdriver in just a little bit, and you just kick it to the side, and you can pop out that support. And you do that for both. Just slide it in there, just a little bit, and there you go. Now what you're going to do is you're going to line up the two shapes, put the shape in the box, just like so, and insert those in until they are flush. Do that for both wheels. And then you want to take your gear for the wheel. It is indexed. You do have flat sides. You also have two flat sides on here. Just make sure that you kind of spin it until it lines up, and then push it all the way down until it's flush. And you do that for both sides. We'll set those to the side for now. Now next step, you're going to want to get your servo horn. And then you're going to want to get your servo linkage. It does have an A on it. You do want to turn the A side down like this. So you should not see the letter A on it. You're going to turn your servo horn to where it is facing up and it sits nice and flat. Now you're going to get an M3 by 12. That's going to be this nice long M3 screw right here. It is silver. You're going to drop it in the hole. It is chamfered right there. Connect your screwdriver, and then you're going to go through the outermost hole and just screw that right into your servo horn. And you can tighten it slightly. You don't have to go crazy, just snug it. And make sure you do have nice smooth movement there. Now what you're going to do is you're going to get your wedge base, and if you look on the bottom of your wedge base, you're going to see that there's a little nut shape right here. And so what you do is you're going to take one of these little M3s, nylocks right here, and you're going to drop that in there, just like this side. And you're going to use your wedge as a wrench basically, and you're going to take your screw that you just assembled and you're going to screw it into that nut. And you're going to screw it all the way until you feel it getting tight. You don't have to go crazy tight with a nylock nut. And then you set your wedge off to the side. And there you go. That's what it should look like when you are done. So we're going to set this to the side now. All right, so now what we're going to do, this is number 2-5. We're going to get our left hand drive rail. Then we're going to get a drive axle, one of these bronze drive axles. And we are going to install it into the drive rail. It does have a certain way that it does go in, so just turn it until it drops in and press it in. And then we're going to take one of these M3x8 screws. They have Loctite on them. Put it on our screwdriver and we're going to tighten it up. Just like so. Get it nice and snug. And then we're going to repeat that process for the right hand side as well. And now we have our right and left hand side drive rails. We'll set those over here. Now for 2-7, we're going to need our lifter blade and our lifter arm. And you're just going to take the lifter blade and slide it into the lifter arm. And then when you flip it over, you have a screw hole right there. You're going to take one of the little plastite screws, the M2 5x6. You're going to drop that in the hole right there. And just screw it up till it's nice and snug. You don't have to over tighten it. We're going to set this over here. And now we're going to take our servo housing, just like so. We're going to take our servo. We're going to take the wire of our servo and we are going to go into the servo housing. I'll just put a little bend in it like that to make it easier and slide it in there and pull it out through the slot. And then we'll take our servo just like this and we're going to slide it in, and you should see it sticking through just like that. And the way that this slot is designed, it is so you can shove your extra wire down in there to keep it all out of the way for you. And then we're going to take the servo wire protector and put it on the top just like this. The arrow should be pointing this way. And then we're going to get two more of these little M2 5x6 screws and drop those in there, in this hole and this hole. We're going to tighten those up. Make sure it's nice and tight, and there you go. Now we're going to set this off to the side. We're going to take our module. This is the Core 6.0. And what you want to do with the core is you're going to look at these little dip switches right here. You want to make sure these are all correct. So you have switch 1, 2, 3, 4. You want to make sure switch 1 is up, switch 2 is down, switch 3 is up, and switch 4 is up to make sure that you get the correct functionality from your robot. And then we're going to take the drive rails. We need to connect the drive rails to the core. So with the inside, the end on top, we will take the right drive rail and you can set it on top. It's going to mount just like this. So R and N, same orientation, and drop it on top. And then you're going to want to take the little tiny black screws. These are these little tiny M2 by 6mm, and you'll drop one into that hole. And you can drop one into that hole. It's going to be this hole and this hole. And then what I like to do, the way I like to do it is I put my screwdriver in there and I hold the screw sticking out like so. And then I line it up with the hole right there. And I'll just get that one started. And then once I get that one nearly tight, now I can swivel the drive rail around and I can get my other screw to drop down in there, and then I can tighten this one up. And then I can snug them both up. And then I'm going to take the left-hand side, and the left-hand side goes on the side with the H. So the H and the L are both in the same orientation. You drop it on top, just like so. Then you can drop in your first M2 by 6. I like to do the ones on the bottom because it's just easier to line it up that way for me. Then drop my screwdriver in there. Make sure I'm in the hole. And then I can drop in the one on the top. And on the left side, it's going to be this hole and this hole. We'll screw this in, get them nice and tight, nice and snug. And now we are connected, and it should look like this. This is going to be the front of your robot. Your ports and your connections should be on the top, and it should look like this on both sides. So now we're going to finish up the back of the robot. So we're going to take this little rear cover just like this, and you are going to kind of just push it in here and slide it forward on the back. And then we're going to take the little silver M2 5x6 screws, these little guys, and we're going to put one in this hole right there. Tighten it up. Then we're going to flip it over to the left side. We're going to go into the very back hole right there. And now we're going to get this rear cover plate right here. Make sure that your switches are in the right place before you install this cover plate. It does slide in and slot in, so you just lay it flat on the core, push it up as far as it will go. And then we're going to take the little M2 5x6 screws, once again the tiny little silver ones like these, and we are going to drop them into these holes right here to secure this rear cover. Just like that. So for the next step, it's starting to get interesting. We're going to take the drive gears, and the drive gears, they do have a flat side on both sides, and so does this shaft from the core. So you just drop it on there, and I just kind of spin it with my finger until it drops into place. And then I'll hold it with this finger and rotate it and repeat on the other side. Just kind of drop it in there and spin it till it falls down into place. Then we're going to take one of the wheels that we assembled earlier and put it on top and spin it until it drops in place. And then you're going to get one of these little screws like this. It's a little M3x4. The head is almost as wide as the screw is long. I'm going to put that on my screwdriver. And lucky for us, the screwdrivers are magnetic, or at least mine are. And then we'll just screw it right into the end of the axle and snug that up. Should look like that. And then you're going to repeat it on the other side. Drop the tire on, get your screw, and screw it on just like that. All right, so next we're going to be installing our battery. So your battery has two different plugs on it. You have a balance plug that has 3 wires, and you have the power wire that has 2. We're going to be starting with the 2-wire power. If you look inside of your core, you're going to see the white section right here. That is where your battery plugs into. You want to make sure that the 2 little arrows, it looks like a clip on this side right there, that those are facing towards the top of the robot. So take those and you put them in like that. And then once I insert the plug in there, I just take my screwdriver and push it down until it clicks in. You want to make sure it's all the way down. And then we're going to take the balance side, the 3-wire side. It has a clip side on it as well. You can see the 2 little arrow, it looks like little arrows on there. You're going to turn those towards the inside of the chassis, and you are going to insert it into the slot right here on the drive rail. And if you do it correctly, and the orientation does matter, you should see the 3 silver tabs going towards the inside of the robot. And then what I'm going to do is I just flip my battery down like so. We're going to move on to the next step. The next step is going to be the wedge base. So what we're going to do is, you can see the battery kind of sits on this part of the wedge base. So we're going to kind of rest the battery on there, and then we're going to line this up and just slide it forward. Make sure you do push it all the way forward. Once you do that, we're going to flip this over. And now we're going to have 2 holes. We have a hole here and we have a hole here. And we're going to drop in the little M2 5x6 screws. So we'll drop this one in, and we will drop this one in, and then we will screw those down, securing them nice and tight. And if you did it right, then that's what it should look like. This is now how you're going to charge your robot in the future. We'll flip that over. Now we must attach our servo assembly to the robot, which means we now have to plug in the servo. Now to plug in the servo, we're going to look in here, and I'm going to kind of pull the battery out just so I can show you guys a little more plainly. But you're going to see in here that you have two different rows. You have a set of 3 going horizontally here, and then towards the bottom of the robot. So you have a bottom row and a top row for your servo. So what you're going to do is you're going to take with the silver tabs facing the top of the robot, orientated like this, you're going to plug that into the bottom 3, and I'm going to pull this out all the way just to show you guys what it looks like. We'll plug it in like that, and then this is the position it should be in. And you'll have brown on the inside, red in the middle, and the orange yellow on towards the outside of the robot. So brown, red, brown, red, and then yellow, orange. Just like this. And I'm going to go ahead and now get my battery reorientated the way it should be. I'm just kind of sticking the wires in there behind the battery. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to feed as much of this servo wire back up into this chassis. You don't want very much of it hanging out. So I'm just going to kind of push this up in there, and we'll set this on top, just like so. Okay, so while holding this on here, we have a screw hole right there. We're going to take one of the little silver M2 5x6 screws, and we're going to drop that down in there. It's really close to the wheel, but you can get it in there. And then we're going to put our screwdriver, and we're going to screw it in to our servo assembly right here. So make sure you're pushing the servo assembly all the way back, and align these little lines up right there to be sure your hole is lined up. And then you can just screw that in. And then we're going to take another one, and we're going to repeat on the other side, right in front of the tire. Hold it down with our hands, drop it in, and now we're going to just screw this in. And it is this hole right there on both sides. And then if we come to the front right here, we're going to push down the servo assembly. You can see it's like a chomp, chomp, chomp. And we're going to drop another M2 5x6 in the front right here. And then we'll just screw that in while we're holding it down. And there we go. Now we're going to take our lifter assembly that we made earlier, and we are going to place it on the robot. We are going to align these holes with this hole that has the white circle in it, just like so. We'll just place it on here and hold it in place with our fingers. And then if we look on this side of the robot, you can see it looks like a nut shape right there. So we're going to take one of these long bolts like this. That is your M3 by 35. And then we're going to take an M3 nylock. This is what it looks like. We're going to drop the M3 nylock into the side that looks like a nut. That's going to actually retain that nut for you. And then we're going to slide this in, the M3 by 35, through the other side. And you have to align all these holes up to get that to go through. And then we'll just feed it through. And then we'll take our Allen wrench and we're going to tighten this up. Now you do want to tighten this until it just gets slightly snug. You want to make sure that this nut is recessed. So if you go too crazy on this, you're going to lock up your lifter, and your lifter is not going to open very freely. So if you see right here how I got a little bit of wiggle in the nut, how it still moves, just tighten this screw up until that nut seats in the bottom, and it can no longer go back and forth, but you still have free movement in your lifter. So now at this point, what we're going to do is we're going to get our controller, and we're going to insert our batteries. And now we are going to hold down the power button, until the red light comes on your controller, so it should be flashing red. We are now going to turn on our robot. It's this switch right here. Just push it to the side. We're going to let them bind. When they bind, it should go solid red. And we're going to make sure that our servo is centered, right? We want it in a starting position. So we're going to tap the H button right here on the controller. And when we tap it, you'll hear it activate. The servo went up. We're going to tap it again, and it's going to go down, and it is now in the down position. You want to make sure that it's in the down position. So when you hit H, you can see that it's spinning backwards. That would be lifting your lifter. And if you hit H again, it's spinning forward, and it's now in the down position. And you do want it in the down position. That is quite important. So after you've got it in the down position, we can go ahead and turn off the robot. We can hold down the button on the controller and turn that off as well. And then we're going to take our little linkage that we made here. We are now going to connect the servo arm. The way that you do this is not just a pretty decoration on the side. Whenever you put the servo arm on, the servo has to stay within the parameters of these two white lines. So we will put it on like this, because this is a tooth type gear on there. So you'll put it on there and you'll get it as straight as you possibly can. And then just push it on. And you can see, as long as the edges of this servo arm on both sides are within the white lines, then you're going to be good to go. And you do want to get it as centered as possible. Then you're going to take one of these little M3 by 8 screws, put it on your screwdriver, and you are going to go through the end of your servo horn into your servo. Tighten this one down pretty decently. It does have a Loctite on it for you already. So what we're going to do now is we're going to get this little M2 5x10. It's basically just a longer version of these shorter screws that we've been using for the whole build. And we're going to take this, we're going to put it on the end of our screwdriver. We're going to align this hole right here with this slot. So we'll just push that over and we'll drop this through the slot into the hole, and then we'll just tighten this up. Now when you're tightening this up, you don't have to go crazy with it. You do want it to be seated fully, but you don't want to tighten it so much that this arm cannot move freely. So if you look right here when I'm tightening this up, how I got a little wiggle side to side, I'm just going to tighten this down to eliminate most of that wiggle. And as you can tell, you can drive this one in. This is one of the stronger parts of the robot. And there we go. We still have free movement. We have just a little bit of wiggle in it, but the head is fully recessed inside there. So now we're going to take our self-righting arm. This is it right here. This is going to go on the right side of the robot. You have an arrow on this side. You have a little slot with 2 screw holes on this side. And it's going to go right here by your servo arm. And you're just going to put this on right here. And then we're going to take 2 of the little M2 5x6, the little plastite screws, and we'll drop them in there. And then we'll turn this sideways and we'll tighten these up. Once again, just snug them up. You don't have to go crazy and strip them out. As long as the part is not wiggling around, you're going to be fine. Now we're going to take our right side and our left side decoration, and that's exactly what they are. So they're going to drop into these slots. We're going to pull the lifter up, just pull it up slowly. Then we're going to drop the right side in place like this. And then we're going to drop the left side in like this. And now we can push our lifter back down if we want to. And then we're going to flip this over and we're going to put in the M2 5x6 screws. Same little plastite screws, little silver ones that we've been using. And then we will screw those in. And those will go into this hole and this hole. And now we're going to take the wedge decorations. It doesn't really matter which side these go on. You will install one on this side. Just kind of press it in there until it sits flat. Do the same with the other side. And then turn the robot over. And you have these little diagonal screw holes right here. Once again, you'll get the M2 5x6 screws. Drop one, go in at an angle, tighten it up. And then here's the second one. And you can see these are angled holes for those. Drop in your other little M2 5x6 screw in there. I'm holding this in with my finger on this side, and I'm just screwing that in. Just like that. And with that being done, your forge is now complete. So you are ready to charge it up. The way that you're going to charge your battery is you are going to take your charger. It's a USB-C style charger. You will flip your robot over. You plug it into the bottom. It can only go one way. And then you plug this into a USB-C port, and this will alternate red and green while charging, and when it goes solid green, then you are charged and ready for battle. The way that your robot's going to function is you just turn on the power switch on the robot right here on the bottom. You just slide that over. You can see the robot lifted its flipper up, and then you're going to hold down your power button until it starts and turns red. Once it turns red and it stays solid, you are connected. You can hit the H button. That's going to lift your flipper all the way up. Hit the H button again. It's going to bring your flipper down. And now your flipper is ready for action. And then this is going to be your drive. You have forward, back, right, and left. How cool is that? This one also has a self-rider on it. So if you get knocked upside down, just hit the H button and then drive reverse and your right side up, and then bring your flipper back down. Very cool little robot indeed. All right, so congrats. You made it. You built it. You got it completed and done, and you're ready for those epic home battles. So happy battling and enjoy your new robot kit.